Hey everybody, Derek here, and welcome to the personal vlog, and welcome to my Sunday question cast, second time with the fisheye lens. Now last time a lot of people had complained about some sort of things with the fisheye lens, and I'm going to get to those a little bit later because I will answer that as one of the questions. So just bear with me for a sec, and I'll let you know what I think about the fisheye lens, and then how it relates to these videos. But we are doing it again with this one, partially because my camera, the mount for it broke. And so I can no longer use my camera inside the car without buying a new camera mount for it. So this view I just put up onto the windshield really quick. I didn't really check. There is an option that you can set it so that you can see on your iPhone where the GoPro is pointed. I didn't do that this time, and so I might look stupid right now, I might not, I'm not sure. I think with this view you might be able to see outside, you might not. And I guess lastly, the other new information is that this is my first video inside the new vehicle. And so welcome to a vehicle that doesn't have a really dirty B-pillar. And if you didn't notice before, go check out my last video. There is a very dirty B-pillar. The vehicle right now is in USS Yokohama, which is literally 30 seconds drive from where I am right now. And I'm going to be going to check out that vehicle very shortly while it's at the auction. Watch it go through auction and see how much money I don't get for that. I mentioned in the other video that the reserve price that I set for it is basically $80 US, which isn't an awful lot, but I don't expect to get a lot. The car's not in fantastic condition, and they're not popular cars, and so I'm just happy if somebody buys it. So I don't really expect any money at all from it. Okay, so let's go over the questions. It feels like it's been a long time since I've done this question cast. A lot has happened in the last week. I'm running on only about 3 hours of sleep from last night because I was up until 4 o'clock doing emails, and despite that I didn't get to any of the 3 invoices that I needed to make last night. So really got to make those today. But I'm on the way back from the port, checked out 2 Maseratis, and we've bought something like 6 Maseratis now, Maserati Spiders. And so far I haven't been impressed with any of them. The Maseratis seem to be made by a company that doesn't know how to make cars. And it's funny because they're kind of a high-end brand. You know, they're similar to Ferrari. All the plastics inside seem like they're, you know, Honda Fit quality. And it's really odd to have cheap plastics on the car with like leather-wrapped dashboard and beautiful looks and cool V8 engine. So a little bit of a strange vehicle. I can't say I'm a fan at all, but then again, I haven't driven one. Anyways, that's a little bit off topic. We're going to get into the questions right away here, and hope you like the first ever Honda Elysian question cast. And by the way, about this vehicle, I'm going to do my driving impressions and things like that. I'm going to make a video of it showing interior, exterior, and all that stuff. Don't mind the car, it's dirty. There's a Maserati car cover right behind me, as you can see. There's a guy on a bike, but it's so weird being this high up because people are right at eye level. I'm used to being much lower. Anyways, I'm a little bit scatterbrained at the moment. Must be the lack of sleep. Oh, and I said that this vehicle does have an auxiliary input, but I haven't figured out how to use it. It's back here, and I think you have to run it through the audio video, like pretend like you're playing a video into the screen, and then something. I haven't checked it out yet, so I don't know. So we get bad sound quality again today. Sorry about that.
Franny says, how did you get Costco rubber gloves in Japan?
This is an easy question. I went to the Costco to get Costco rubber gloves. And the Costco in Japan is just like the Costco is in Canada and the US. They even have that giant teddy bear in Japan, which is nuts because that would take up half of a Japanese-sized room just to fit that bear into it. So it's a little bit strange that Costco here sells all of these things that nobody in Japan is ever going to buy just because Costco wants to sell the same things in all markets. So it is pretty nuts if you go into the Costco here, but it's really nice for me because I can get all sorts of things that you can't buy in the regular stores here. Or if you do get them from an import store, they end up being really expensive.
Victor R says, can you talk about the Nismo GTR?
I've spoken about the Nismo GTR a number of times in some of the videos, in particular the ones on my channel where I review a Nismo GTR. I think we've sold 2 of them, but I'm not sure. There's one that's white, and it was really nice. And it went to a really nice customer of mine who's probably watching this video. That one I spoke about the Nismo GTR a little bit. I can go into a little bit of details. I don't want to bore everybody about it, but so the Nismo GTR was only for the R32 version of it. It's a racing version of the car used for homologation purposes, and that means that it needs to have certain things in that car, and they have to sell a minimum of 500 of them in order to qualify that car as a road legal car, so that they can then take that car racing in whatever style of race it is that they went into. I don't even know. But anyways, differences between the regular version and the Nismo version are that Nismo has only 560 units of them were made, and I think only 500 of them were available to the public. There are some other racing versions that are limited edition, like an N1, and there are some other ones that I'm not too familiar with that are in the R33 and the R34, but the Nismo is only on the R32. They only came in one color, which is a gunmetal gray. They have, I guess the homologation was mostly only for a couple of little engine things and mostly exterior changes. And so it's got a different hood lip, different rear spoiler, different side skirts. The glass, I believe, is slightly different, slightly thinner glass. It's got a different set of headlights that are made out of plastic instead of the regular glass ones. The rear wiper is missing, and it's got different turbos that are steel instead of ceramic. I believe the turbos are rated at a higher pressure, and so your output is slightly higher, but I could be wrong about that. There's a lot more information online about this than what I know about it myself, and so I'm no expert for sure. Everything that I know, I just read online, and I'm just repeating it. Which leads me to kind of an interesting thing in that a lot of people, their car knowledge comes just from the internet. They don't have specific experience with it. So it's really refreshing to meet people who do have actual experience, not just people who know a lot of statistics and things. So, it's fun to talk cars with anybody. It's even more fun to talk cars with people who know all sorts of things that you don't necessarily find on the internet. I find the internet is a little bit of an echo chamber when it comes to information. So, for example, one person will post some sort of information, and other people will repeat that without actually knowing if it's the truth or not, because people want to be able to know all sorts of things about cars that other people don't know. They want to feel proud about being smart about cars. And so there are a number of things, and I always wonder what parts of information that I learn about cars on the internet are real and which ones are actually just people repeating over and over again these not necessarily true things. So if you hear something about cars, whether it be from a real person or from the internet, always take it with a grain of salt and, check multiple sources if you can. I know that's not always possible.
Ryan says, hi Derek. I was wondering what the price range is for the R33 or R34 with the full import fees, if you were somehow able to import them to New Zealand through this special permit.
Okay, that question, it wasn't very clear. I couldn't hear very well, but this person's asking how much it would cost for an R33 or an R34 imported to New Zealand under a special permit. Now, in New Zealand, you can only import cars that are 2005 and newer, and they have to pass the current emissions regulations in New Zealand. However, some other cars can be imported for, like, if you get special permission or they're on a special list or something. And the truth of the matter is, I don't understand that process very well, and so I'm not the authority to ask about that. For these sorts of customers, I recommend that they do their homework themselves. We sell to pretty much any country that wants to import a car, and we can't be exports on all of the markets unless we sell a lot of cars there. And although we do sell the odd car to New Zealand, we don't sell an awful lot. And so I don't really know the answer if this is possible to import that car. In terms of prices, the R33s have two prices, and keep in mind, these prices are only for right now. Prices, especially for cars that are 15, 20, 25 years old, will fluctuate really quickly. And so these prices are somewhat accurate for right now, but not necessarily in the future. The R33 early models, which would be the 95, 96, those ones are legal. Not legal, I'm sorry, that was the wrong word. Those ones are roughly about 800,000 yen to 1.4 million yen. The late model ones, which are the final 2 years, the 97, 98, those ones are about 50% more expensive and can be up to 2 million or slightly higher than 2 million. I've seen 2.6, 2.8 for some really good ones. And this is not including special models like the 400R. Pardon me? The R34, whether it's V-Spec, V-Spec 2, or regular, matters in the price. Standard ones are anywhere between 2 million and 3 million. V-Spec ones are about an extra 300,000 to 500,000 yen. And the V-Spec 2, which is a very rare model, comes with a carbon fiber hood with a NACA duct on the top, and really the one that most people want but don't have enough money for. That one is probably another 10 grand over top of the base model, maybe a little bit more. Something of interest, the brand new R34s, when they were new, the cost of them, the base model was 4.8 million. The V-Spec 1 was 5.3 million. And the V-Spec 2 was 5.9 million. A little tidbit of information. In terms of shipping for almost all the countries in the world is somewhere around $1,000 or so. To New Zealand, it's a flat rate instead of based on the size of the vehicle. And our export fee is the same for everything. And import fees, I don't know for New Zealand, I'm sorry. But there is that information online if you want to check into it. And if you really, really want to know, we can check into it for you. But really that's up to the customer to know the import side, because our business is exporting and not importing.
Welmers1 says, hi Derek, have you driven left-hand drive in Japan?
I used to own a left-hand drive car in Japan. It was a CLK 320. I actually, okay, so left-hand drive here in Japan is opposite of the standard driving position. As you can see, I'm in right-hand drive right now. Left-hand drive would mean I'm on the other side. And there are a handful of cars that are left-hand drive. All the M series BMWs, all the 911s that are in Japan, and quite a few other cars. Sometimes even the odd NSX or some American car. The reason why I like driving left-handed drive is because of a few things, actually. I feel a little bit safer not being directly next to the cars that are coming right onto me, so I know if you get into a car accident, you have a higher chance of survival. And I know I sound like a bit of a grandpa saying that, but I think that it's true. Somewhat lifted Jimny here, cool car. And otherwise, in Japan there are a lot of people on motorcycles, scooters, and bikes on the side of the road, and if you're that much closer to them, it's easier to see where they are. And I'm on the highway right now, so there aren't any 50cc scooters, but 50cc scooters have a max legal speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour here in Japan. And that means that they're slower than regular traffic, so you're constantly passing scooters on the road, and they don't hug the roadside like you would want them to, and so it makes you a little bit nervous trying to guess how far exactly you are away from them. And if you're on the left-hand side, then it's a lot easier to know how far you are. Parking is easier, I find. Unfortunately, toll booths are not easier. Parking booths. Some of the parking booths have both left-hand and right-hand drive, just because, you know, left-hand drive is so popular here in Japan. I don't really see any downside other than turning right in an intersection, which means you have lower visibility. But what you can do is lean over like that, and it's a little bit inconvenient at first, but you get used to it in a day or so. And you also have to get used to signals and wipers. One of them is on the opposite side. You know, the rule of thumb is whichever one is closer to your door. So closer to your door is your signals. I'm not going to actually push it because people are going to wonder why I'm putting my signals on in the highway. The only exception is BMW is always signals on the left side. They don't change whether it's right-hand drive or left-hand drive. drive. And that may be different for some BMWs I haven't driven, but for all the ones that I've noticed, that's the case.
Thanks. Anthony Sinet says, I have a question. Have you arranged to send a car abroad for an owner who is leaving Japan in order to take their car to the destination country and the car meets the import requirements?
You can send the car through us to export it, but if you do that, then we want you to pay us some money in order to do that for you. And you can do it yourself just as easily. And so I don't recommend that you do it through me. There's also the inconvenience of the car having to be in my name for me to export it under my company, and that prevents you from saving on import tax, because some countries will not tax you for the car coming in if you can prove continuity of ownership in the previous country. And so I don't recommend that you go through us, and if anyone emails me, then I say, sorry, we can't really help you with that. What you can do is contact a customs broker in your home country, and they can set up the shipping from your country. And that's easy, because then you don't have to speak to somebody in Japanese. I'm going past the IKEA. A lot of people have mentioned that there's the IKEA that I drive by, so you'll be able to see it in about a minute here.
Alex says, hi Derek. I like the camera position and all. I keep asking this question which you haven't answered, but I'm not going to give up. Question, what do you think about the Alfa Romeo 159? Quality, reliability, and conditions in Japan?
I think I've answered this question, and I'm going to give the same answer as I did last time. I've never bought one of these cars, and so I don't know that car specifically, but there are a lot of Alfa Romeos in Japan, and they lose their value so fast in Japan. They are almost worthless cars here in Japan after they're about 15 years old. Part of that might have to do with the fact that they are not particularly reliable cars, and they tend to wear out faster than your regular cars. In terms of interior, the paint condition, the electronics have problems. But if you watch Top Gear, then you know that you can't be a real car guy unless you've owned an Alfa Romeo, and they're so cheap that it's worth getting just to try it out. The 159, I imagine those are probably about $500 or less for some of the top condition ones. And what's nice about Japan is that a lot of the Alfa Romeos are driven by people who don't drive cars very often. It's just the beautiful car that they put in their garage and then show off to people. I drive an Alfa. You know, it says something. It says something like, I don't drive the ubiquitous BMW or Mercedes. And especially in this area, almost everybody that lives in this area seems to drive Audi, Mercedes, BMW, sometimes Lexus. And so, yeah, it is something a little bit different. Shows to people that you are a little bit different. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I don't particularly love Alfa Romeos myself. I do really like Lancias, which are very similar because they use many of the same parts and they're owned by the same company. But I like the Lancias despite all of their problems because the car is so awesome. And I can't really say the same for all the Alfa Romeos. This might change if I got a chance to drive one, but I don't know. I probably won't have a chance to actually own one for either quite some time or never, because I don't really have a hankering to own one, and there are so many cars that I'd like to own other than a dad minivan like this one, but that's the reality of having 3 kids. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Rome1017 says, love the video, but the audio is kind of hard to hear as I usually use my phone's speakers. Is there any way to get the microphone with the GoPro?
This is in response to the last video that was the first video with the GoPro. This GoPro is the Hero Plus LCD. What that means is that unlike the regular GoPro, this one is sealed inside the plastic safety case at all times. It's not 2 separate pieces. You can't swap the case in between them. And because you can't take it out of the case, you can't get very good audio in it as long as you have the back cover on. This time, I have the back cover taken off, but it's a little bit weird because I don't think that you're supposed to be shooting without the back cover on it, because there's little hinge things just dangling it is a little bit strange. And there are 3 back covers that come with it. One that is completely waterproof, one that is slightly waterproof, but you can still use the touchscreen in the back, and then one that is completely naked. Last time I used the completely naked one and thought that I would get good audio quality, but it wasn't very good, and certainly a lot of people mentioned that. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be using the GoPro though. Right now I've got no back screen on. It might have good audio quality, and that would certainly solve one of the 2 problems. But the second problem, and probably the more pressing one, is the fact that the GoPro limits the length of the video to 12 minutes in between each segment, which is usually not a problem because it will fluidly record for as long as the memory card and the battery will last, but it will break it up into little file chunks that are 12 minutes long. And what that means is you have to pop all of those videos into a video editing software, and then you have to output that. And doing the output takes some time. One questions cast is probably about 15 minutes of rendering. But it's just one more step that I don't necessarily want to have to take. And already as it is, it's difficult to find the time to upload these videos to YouTube on time. And if you're a regular viewer, you've noticed that my Sunday question cast is quite often a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday cast, because I just can't get things together to get these videos up. And so adding one more step could be a deal breaker for me. And so I'd rather use my personal camera. And with the personal camera, the microphone isn't mounted right inside, and so it would get less sound noise that comes from the windshield of the vehicle. Things might be a little bit different in this vehicle. This vehicle is much quieter than the Legacy was, but I don't know. We're going to have to test this one. What I want people in the comments to say, especially if you've watched the last questions cast that was in the Legacy, compare this one with the other one in terms of sound quality, maybe camera position, if you're into that. I don't even know how much you can see. Can you see the Mini that's right there? The big 4-door Mini that's not a Mini anymore. Anyways, let me know about that.
Final question here from Quesiton is, hi Derek, I asked a question on one of your previous videos and wasn't sure if you've seen it, but I was curious if you had bought a car for a customer that you liked and thought of maybe keeping it for yourself.
I wish that I could keep some of the cars for myself when I buy them, because we bought a number of vehicles, and being a car guy, especially one that sells in the markets that we do, we're not the cheapest company, and there's good reason for that, because the cheapest company is full of people who steal money and don't do things ethically and have large volume and not good service. And that's not every company, but there's a mixture of reasons why I don't want to be the cheapest company. And we're not the most expensive by far. We are very close to average. We are slightly over the average cost, but we give more service than even the most expensive exporters in most cases. We are the only company that does the 15-minute long videos per car that we export. And so I think that we have a good value for money, but that means that I'm not extremely rich. We work like crazy, and I make less than the average person who is my age. Let's just put it at that. Most of my friends from high school, especially the successful ones, are much richer than I am. And that means that I don't get the ability to buy any car that I want. I've got a super long list of all the cars that I'd like to own, even if it's just for 6 months or a year. And there's just no way that something like that would be possible. And so there has never been an opportunity where I bought a car and the Navi has a problem. And it says you're close to your mark, and it's all in Japanese, and I don't know how to turn it off. Oh, the benefits of having a Japanese car, my gosh. Anyways, never has it happened that I've had the money in my bank when some customer bought a car that I really wanted, and I had a chance to offer him money for that. And probably won't happen either. Also, there's the fact that my customers, if a car is really, really good, that customer should get that car that they deserve to get. You're buying cars from the auction, there is variability in the quality. Sometimes you get a car that's not particularly good value, and sometimes you get a car that's super unbelievably better than you thought that it would be. And if that's the case, the customer really deserves to get that super good deal. And so, yeah, I don't know. I would feel really weird saying, hey, how about I buy this and then you don't get it. I don't know. Doesn't seem fair to me. Anyways, that's going to be the end of this cast. Let me know about all the things and all of your questions, and maybe next time it's going to be a surprise whether I use my old camera or the new camera here. And I just wanted to say one thing. Even if I don't use this camera for the question casts because of the reasons that I said, the audio and the fact that it splits up the videos, having this camera is very useful for me to do the types of videos that I want to start on my third channel that we're going to be starting from next year. In particular, the GoPros can be mounted to the cars while you're driving, and I'd like to get some footage of mountain driving here in Japan, because a lot of people don't have experience seeing what's available in the mountains and seeing what the roads are like. And they are basically like private racetracks that cost nothing to go on, and there are no other cars on them, and you can drive any speed that you want on them. Of course, be responsible while you're driving, but they're so tight that you can't get up to really high speeds, and so they're not particularly dangerous, and they aren't patrolled by police, and there are no other cars on the road. And so it is something that I want to show. I want to be able to do some car reviews and things like that, which would really benefit from having extra cameras, even if I'm not using that camera for the audio. I might be doing takes that take 2 or 3 cameras, and then I can use the audio from the camera that supports the best audio. And so it does give me extra options, and having more options makes for more fun videos. And so I certainly am very grateful about having this camera, and hopefully it really helps me to create those good videos. So that's going to be the end of the video. I hope everyone enjoyed this one. I hope it wasn't too boring, or the sound wasn't bad, or the video wasn't bad, or whatever it is. And I hope you enjoy seeing the inside of a non-dirty vehicle for once. So thanks a lot for watching, and have a good day.